What's good everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Just, and today I want to talk about my commission process, how I go about, from getting the commission request to the bottom, to the last step, which is finishing it and getting paid. The first thing, obviously, once you get a commission request, you gotta have a commission sheet. I just feel like that's really gonna be helpful so that you can always refer to it, people can refer to it, and so that people don't get confused, nor you will get confused about how the payments will run through, how you work. You can put in notes and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna show y'all my commission sheet, which was made in like a few months ago. This is my commission sheet. These have been made for quite a while ago, so your boy got a whole lot better after this. But look at, we got the notes right there. I post the notes and all that kind of stuff in a way that when I get requests, they can refer to that, and so my workflow will be a lot smoother and a lot easier. I'll always ask for if they have any references, because I want the illustration that I'm going to be making to be as close as to the idea that the people that commission me have. So I always ask for what references, like maybe it's poses or positions or compositions and all that kind of stuff, and then I'll play around with that in my next step, which are thumbnails. Now this is something that I learned from Naoki Saito, and also I did search up a bunch of other purposes for thumbnailing, but pretty much what the point of thumbnailing is, me personally, I keep it to 20 minutes per thumbnail so that I don't be spending 1 hour trying to make one illustration, one thumbnail look so finalized. And as you can see, they're very rough, and so as you can see, I'll play around with different compositions, different perspectives, different poses, and also this helps you actually get familiar with the character, and you're only going to pay attention to the key points of the character, because it's a very small frame and you don't want to be zooming in like this, which is something that I actually end up doing sometimes, but I catch myself and tell myself to go back to about 100% zoom. But it does help you get familiar with the character and just pay attention to the big color groups and features of the character and their costume. So after I do the whole thumbnail thing, I'm gonna go send that to the client. Then I'm gonna ask them what they think, which one they like the most, before I move on to the rough sketch. Once all that is done, when they say all the comments, suggestions, things that they want to fix, I then will move on to the rough sketch. Alright, so this is how my sketch looks like, which is actually not initially how it looks like. It's just, I'll merge layers. I'm trying to not make my damn Clip Studio Paint lag, alright, so forgive me, but pretty much we start with a sketch and then I'll figure out the colors, and then next up, background, this one. And I've also been learning using the perspective rule, just because it's actually really helpful for achieving consistent perspective in your backgrounds, and it's just all about utilizing the tools that you've been given. So that's actually really been helpful. So after I do the rough sketch, which is overall this thing, let me get rid of the ruler, I will actually then send this over back, playing my thought process, and then if there's anything that they want me to add, which is actually in this case, I forgot to add the tiara on the character, so they told me about that, and I made sure to remember that when I'm going to move on to the refinement. And so the refinement is just line art and the whole rendering stuff, which is the next step. So this is the rendering part. I make sure to draw the background actually like independent of the character, just because I want to make sure that if I want to move the character, which I will not move cause Clip Studio Paint is going to lag. Look at the fucking system. At least if I have to adjust the character or anything, the background would not look unfinished, and so I make sure to hide the character and actually do the whole background. That's just me. Maybe I'm masochistic, I do not know. But yeah, this is the base, and then the next thing that I work on is I'll add a little bit of adjustment layers if the character does not seem to fit as well on the background, and then I'll move on to adding lights. As you can see, we have a multiply layer here just to add some gradation of shadow to the character, and then next up we have highlights, which is in hard light mode, and this is just to add a little bit more material definition and also some details. Yeah, I think I added some on the eyes too and the hair, just some highlights. And then we have the actual light layer. So I have the key light here, which is an overlay mode there because it's very dark and if I just went with hard light, it's not gonna be as saturated, so I wanted to add a little bit more color. So I chose for overlay mode. This is the strongest light that we have. Skylight, very minimal. And then we have some bounce light. Bounce light and reflected light, that's kind of the same. That's why you can see a little bit of light here on the armor. I just added a little bit more reflections. And back here we have some bounce light from the floor to the coat. And last but not the least, we have effects, which in this case I added some dust to show the staleness of the background because there's no air and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, this is the final illustration. Then I'm gonna pass this, not yet. I'm gonna tell my client that I'm finished. I upload it on a drive and then I ask for the payment. Now, some people, they ask for payments after the sketch, like half a payment and all that kind of stuff to kind of lock it in. But at least for me personally, I tend to ask for the payment later just because I want to stay more accountable. But in a way, it all depends on your experiences. If I ever come across some bitch ass, if I ever come across an asshole or anything like that, like obviously I'm going to act accordingly. I wouldn't say I change up my process for everybody, but it's definitely just, you just gotta experience things and adjust your process just so you kind of get rid of those holes. But at least for me right now, this is the process that's been working. Some artists that I've met, they told me about how they do their process with commissions and all that kind of stuff. They've come across not so agreeable people. I guess I would say I'm pretty lucky that I've not, at least yet, experienced that. But yeah, it all depends on what you think, depends on how you feel. I do make sure to communicate very well with my clients, and yeah, that's my commission process. Gather references. Once you get their commission, you can ask them for references just so that the thing that you're going to make is as close to their initial idea, because you can't guess, right? You can't read nobody's mind. Thumbnails, play around with perspective, angles, composition, send that, run it through them, ask them if there's anything they want to make sure that you remember or want to add, then move on to the rough sketch, rough colors, send it back to them, ask them comments, suggestions, feedback. Then after everything is all good and dandy, move on to the refinement stage, which is just rendering, line art, and all that kind of stuff. Finalize the piece. Once you're done, I notify them, then ask for the payment, and then send the final piece, and we're all done. Yay. Hope you guys learned my commission process. If you guys liked the video, leave a like, leave a comment what y'all thought, leave a comment what y'all want to see next. I am listing down questions, so just wait for those. If you've sent a question in the past video, I got that listed down. I'm studying them, and I'm gonna see y'all in that next video. Yay.